guys, how's it going? Matt from Foulball Productions here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope that you're doing well, because I'm doing phenomenally. Thank you very much. This is the 93rd episode of the MFer podcast, and I hope that you're doing quite well. Hope that you had a wonderful weekend. I had a good one. I was in Arizona, Sedona, beautiful desert country, played golf miserably, did a little Christmas shopping, rode a train, and saw Santa. It was quite the weekend. Hello, gentlemen. Hello, Boosh McFadden. How you doing? What the fuck? It's Wednesday. That's true, but I was on a little holiday vacation this past weekend, and I flew home last night, and I couldn't make the show, so decided to make it up today. So thank you for being here, sir. Hello, Sentient Dildo. Hello, sir. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Hope you guys, like I said, had a great weekend. I'm doing okay. I'm in the middle of some stupid family drama right now that I won't bore you with the details on, but it just sucks, you know? It just sucks when there's just, family drama, family fighting, family members having beef, go-betweens, and this person saying this and this person saying that, and everyone's upset, especially around the holidays, of all time of the year. I really don't feel like family should be fighting around the holidays, but we so often do. And that's just the way of things sometimes. So, I'm here to hang out with y'all. I'm here to hang out with you guys and have a good time and not think about all that bullshit. Boosh McFadden, you smell like beef and cheese. You sit on a throat of lies. Matt sitting on Santa's lap. I did not sit on Santa's lap, but I did get myself dripped out. I did indeed get myself dripped the fuck out for the Santa experience. I wonder if there's a way for me to show these photos. They were fun. I went hard. I went very hard with my Santa outfit. Let's see if you follow me on Instagram, cheap plug, you'd be able to see the drip. Let's see if you can't see that. See the drip, baby. Hell yeah. I go hard for Christmas, boys and girls. Yes, I do. Let me guess, Matt, the liberal white women are the problem. Boosh, haven't you been paying attention? It's the Jews. I'm not even sure what you're talking about, the liberal white women. I mean, they often are the problem, especially in Europe. Oh, my God. You see those administrators? You see those women who run the EU? Those women are nightmare people. They're demonic trolls. It's like that, what you think evil looks like, it's the Balrog or something, and what evil actually looks like, it's the white women who run the EU who are just going to sell out the entire continent to third world rapists. It's not even a joke. Like, that's not even hyperbole. It's really not. It sounds like you're exaggerating for effect. Not really. Not really. I would love it. I think, back in the day when the news was actually the news. Well, okay, let me say, back in the day when the information scope was quite narrow, right? There would be things that would get overblown in the media, and there would be these stories, and people would get excited about it. And then you'd find out it really wasn't anything. And sometimes that's the case with certain things nowadays, but not this one. It seems to be every day. Every day there's a new one, and they're like horrible, violent, and they're children. And and then there's always that thing where like someone says something about it and they go to jail, like the UK. And there's all these different like raids. I think like Germany does it, and it's just like absolute dystopic hellhole. And it's not overblown. It's not just exaggeration for effect or like boomers, shouting at clouds. This is real. This is happening. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. Speaking of liberal white women, I see you're covering the Piers debacle. That's correct. That is correct, Sentient Dildo. That's actually, it's what we're going to spend the entire episode on, really. other than this sort of preamble babbling. I was I was on the road, like I was saying, and I was gonna do a video on this, and then the time just didn't really work out like that. We didn't get home till late last night, and then today was like, oh, I've got this show, I've got to prepare for it, and I figured, and by the time I got a video, if I got a video out by tomorrow, or God forbid the next day, this story's already over. So I figured, you know what, we'll just do it today. Well, fuck it, we'll do it live. We'll Bill O'Reilly this shit. We'll do it live. And we'll play some clips. We'll crack some jokes at Piers Morgan's expense, because this was really something. And I do have a preamble to this whole debacle, this whole situation. But I'll answer these questions. Do you have Jews in your family? Like I said, Boosh, my great grandmother was Hungarian Jew. That's about the extent of it. But I grew up in a very Jewish area of New Jersey. North Caldwell had a whole lot of the chosen people that I went to school with. So, we just knew there was just it was a lot of Jews where I grew up. For real though, New Year's Eve, 2014, 15,000 women. Yeah. No, absolutely. Central Diddle. Speaking of selling out one's country, in the last 2 years, about 50 mosques opened up in Texas, mashallah. I heard about that. That's crazy. It is weird when you see like a mosque in the United States. You're like, whoa, hey, what's going on there? What's the word? I don't know where these mosques are, but it is weird. There does just seem to be, left and right, whether it's Republicans or Democrats, whomever, it does just seem like the goal is to wipe out all the white countries in the world. Just destroy the populations there, make them like a minority, slowly phase them out, get rid of Christianity. It just seems like that's what's going on. We get base Trump in there to make all the deportations and take the country back for the Native Americans, for us. And then, what do we get? H-1Bs and 600,000 Chinese. It's not really what we voted for, Trumpy dog. I don't really know, but Boosh, probably an Austin dildo. I don't see Slims walking around here much. It is real though. I don't know where they're hiding, but it is real. I do feel like if you tried all that extracurricular activity that they're doing in Europe, I feel like the outcome might be a little bit different than a few months in prison. Yeah, I feel like they might they might be a lot more perforated. They might be a lot more they probably a little faster. They have better wind resistance because they'd be perforated. Is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, they don't really fuck around here. So yeah, but oh, I get it, Boosh. I get it. Slims, Muslims. Okay. Sure. All right. Well, okay. So going to the big story of the day. Going to the Piers Morgan, Nick Fuentes interview. So I kind of want to set the stage here a little bit before we really get into it. Hello, peepers. How you doing? So I think what's important here is a lot of context, right? What's important to understand this story fully is to understand like the kind of whole Nick Fuentes thing. I'm not going to recover every bit of Nick Fuentes lore that's super important, but there is some that really matters for this particular story, right? So remember, and this is something that I really wasn't aware of, that Nick Fuentes, while canceled off, many different platforms, deplaned, debanked, all that stuff, right? Couldn't stream, could stream, but got bounced around from different platforms, restricted, couldn't fly, all this stuff, all these different punishments that they put on this young guy, right? It's like, well, in the meantime, he's still doing his show. He still has a very loyal and dedicated audience. This is something that, to be completely honest, I was not aware of for a very long time. I didn't even really know that he was doing his show. Like, if you asked me just a few months ago, where is Nick Fuentes' show and what's it called? I don't think I would be able to tell you. I wouldn't even be aware that necessarily he was doing a show. I didn't really know who Nick Fuentes was, to be completely honest, right? I would hear about him a lot. I would hear about him when, you know, Dave Smith would talk about him, or his name would come up. He did the Kanye thing, but no one ever mentioned his show. I mean, he would do interviews, but I didn't know that he was streaming, right? Okay, so fast forward to the past few months. Nick Fuentes started doing some relatively mainstream podcasts. I think the first one I came across was the Patrick Bet David one. And he did another one around that same time with a guy called Bradley Martin, whom he did another one with him recently. And they were pretty interesting. I actually like the Bradley Martin interview because Bradley Martin's not like a particularly political guy. He's just a guy, and he's really good at asking questions, and he's curious, and he doesn't pretend to know more than he does. And he's a really good interviewer. He's very quiet and lets Nick speak. He's very good at what he does. So these interviews are around. Then a really big one that happened was Dave Smith. Now, Dave Smith, is a comedian, Legion of Skanks, and has his podcast, Part of the Problem, which I really like. I think it's a great podcast. It's all about like libertarian politics and kind of like critiques from that point of view. And Dave talks with really interesting people like Scott Horton, Daryl Cooper. He's got his co-host Robbie the Fire Bernstein, and he has come into prominence this year because he's extremely articulate of Israel. He's very well educated on the subject. He's been on Piers Morgan to talk about it, and he's precise. He really goes after it, and he's become a figure in the media that people, I don't want to say revile, but the Zionists revile him, and the people who are trying to push the propaganda and the sort of status quo of what the Israel kind of pro-Israel narrative dominating the media would like to see. They don't want Dave. And so, Dave has become, he's had his, they always talk about next generational runs. Like, well, Dave Smith's had his generational run this year too. His podcast is accelerated in leaps and bounds. Well, then he has on Nick Fuentes. And that, I think, was the real moment. I mean, it was definitely a big moment for me, but to me, I feel like that's when the conversation really accelerated because I knew he did those other shows and I didn't really see anyone talking about it. But once he did Dave Smith, I think that's when the conversation really started to pick up. Who have a vested interest in Nick Fuentes not having like a mainstream audience to talk to his ideas to, really started to put the screws down and start to like combat the propaganda, combat the, let's say, the access, right? That's when they really started to come out and talk and do their counterintelligence or their counter propaganda. So, that's all going on. And then like out of nowhere, Fuentes does Tucker, and it's, Tucker apocalypse. I mean, that's it. Tucker's now like nominated for anti-Semite of the year. The Ziobots on the internet are losing their mind. Every pro-Zionist person is like, Tucker's the greatest anti-Semite in the world. You have this guy on. How can you platform this neo-Nazi, this white supremacist? How can you do this? And I mean, the internet erupts, and mainstream media erupts, and all these smear campaigns on Tucker, on Nick, on this whole situation. It gets to such a boiling point. It gets so out of hand. And that's how it's been for a while. I mean, if you were on Twitter in the days following the Tucker Nick Fuentes interview, I mean, it was just your entire feed was just, anti-Tucker, anti-Nick propaganda, pro-Zionist propaganda, and it was absolutely exhausting. I mean, it was just, we get it. I mean, you're convincing no one, right? So one of the things that came out of that interview was that people kept saying, and I think you'll remember people in this very chat when we were talking about that thing, people kept saying, well, why didn't Tucker push back? Why didn't Tucker take this young upstart, Nazi, white supremacist, evil person? Why didn't he take him to task and make him answer for the horrible things that he says and push back? And he said he liked Stalin. You didn't even get into that. How could you not push back? And there was a chorus, a cacophony of people saying that was a softball interview. Well, one man heard the call, saw the bat signal, and he said, guys, hold my beer. hold my wife's boyfriend's beer. I got this. I will take that young man to task. I will have him on my show for 2 hours live, and I will make him eat his words. I will show him the power of the legacy media. And that was the interview that we got. Now, I do appreciate when people make up their own mind. However, I will say this. It didn't go how Piers wanted it to go. At all. Not even kinda. And it was super fun. So we're going to play some clips and we're going to make fun of Piers. And it's really going to be a good time. So, strap in, get your popcorn. Let's have a good time. I'm going to read what you guys were saying in the chat real quick. You thought Matt could do one stream without glazing Smith? Boy, I was wrong. That's right. Listen, man. Game recognized game. Real recognized real. And I like Dave Smith. So, yeah, let's go. It's part of the conversation. You make it sound like it's subjective to me, as if he hasn't been like a major figure in this conversation about Israel and their influence on foreign policy of the United States and the government of the United States, as if it's just me. Like I'm just waving the Dave Smith flag. No, dude. He's been part of the conversation, and I happen to like him. You guys are talking about whatever your thing is. Okay. We want more struggle sessions, damn it. Well, it's funny too, right? Because it's like they really want like re-education. They want like communist, like indoctrination, re-education camps. Like they really just want to tie him up and yell things at him, yell things that like, oh, you did this wrong and you did that wrong. Because they don't really want to even have a tough conversation with him, because he'll eat their lunch. And he did. And it's pretty funny. I find it really absolutely hilarious. Bush McFadden, we were post-racial in USA until Obama and the media started preaching hate towards the whites. It's been almost 20 years. This is the result. I don't think that's correct, Bush. I think that's when it became mainstream. I think that's when it became like a topic du jour. I think that's when they let the pit bulls out of the cage, so to speak. I think that's when they really started kicking the plan into action. I don't think that this just came out of the Obama administration, though. I think this has been a thing that's been going for a long time. And I think, it really is a sustained plan. And I don't think it just came out of the Obama administration. It's like I said, it's definitely when we all noticed. It's definitely when it all started becoming like very clear and public. But I don't think it's just that's when it started. But Zach Smith repeats the same talking points loudly. Well, until the things change, why shouldn't he? Until what he said is proven to be true and people don't engage with a war in Iran, I think it's completely okay for Dave Smith to continue to point out the 7 countries in 5 years and all the clean break memo and the unipolar moment and all those things. I think that's completely relevant. And until we stop doing stuff like that, he should continue to say them loudly. That's what I think. That is what I think. All right, let's play some clips because I have one that I think is super fun. And then we're going to play. I have a quick little follow-up to it, which I think you guys will appreciate. Okay, hold on. It's a long interview. Bear with me for just 1 second. Scrolling is a tad difficult. So sensitive. Come on now. Alrighty. So this was one of the first clips that Piers tried to like struggle sesh Nick with. And the thing is, like, because some of the clips that he played were at least newer clips. They were, at least from his show of late. They weren't just the greatest hits classics that, they always play on every show. but it also was the greatest hits classics that they play on every show. It just was a little like one step deeper than that. But let's okay, here we go.
Which have led people to reach conclusions about you and to ascertain whether those conclusions are fair and reasonable or not. That's it. So I want to play you another clip. This is where you talk about why white people are justified in being racist. Let's take a listen to this.
First, white people are every single bit justified in being racist. Every single bit justified, to the extent that that means going out of your way to avoid black people when you see them.
You stand by
Absolutely.
that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So white people should go.
Sent you dildo. This was peak boomer versus zoomer entertainment. You are 100% right. And I think that silence just encapsulated the entire thing. That's what it was all about, was the fact that he said, he showed this and he's, look what you said. It's okay for white people to be racist against black people. They have every right. And he's just like, yeah. And Piers just broke, his brain broke, his CPU just like blue screened. He had to like reset, turn it on and off again, because it's like where he comes from, A, the world of journalism, but B, his generation. If you're found guilty of that, that's it. You're got. You're caught. You know what I mean? Bring them into the what's it called? The God damn it. Like the oh my God, my brain's not working today. Like the state police office. Like, bring him in. We found a traitor. We found a heretic. And no, he didn't give a shit. And Piers Morgan's brain just fried, which I loved. And then it made me think of this clip. It made me think of this exact this little bit, which I thought was super funny.
White guys are good for that shit. Y'all are good for that guilty shit. That's your punishment for racism. Guilt. White guys are so afraid to be a racist. I'm telling you. You see a few black guys walking towards you in an area you don't belong in, run.
That was Patrice O'Neal. That was comedian Patrice O'Neal at least 14 years ago, because he died in 2011. So 14 years ago, Patrice O'Neal has the exact same joke. Nick Fuentes says it in earnest, probably 10 years later, or maybe even more. And Piers is there being like, can you believe this? Can you believe the audacity? 22 years ago. Yeah. Well, it's like, it's not even a point, right? It's just like, if you wanted to actually have like a discussion about it, Piers, like that would be one thing. But the fact is, it's just a gotcha moment, right? He's just trying to bring it up to be like, you said something racist. Now repent. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna. And then Piers had no follow-up, no second move. He just like was like, no, I think that's correct, and I stand by it. And Piers was just like frozen, had nothing to say. Didn't even imagine that he would have like a response to that, which I thought was just absolutely beautiful, absolutely fantastic. And those are my favorite moments throughout this podcast, or throughout this interview, is like when Piers just like thinks he's got him, thinks he nailed him to the wall, and no. All right, let's see what the next clip we're going to do is here. Okay, this one I thought was super funny. Scrub.
Never been friends. We've never been allies. We've always been set against.
Let me just a little bit longer.
Always been the case in Europe, but I don't hate them. And I think I actually sort of understand them in a weird way. I think that because I've studied a lot of their politics, I think I really kind of know them in a way. And it doesn't come from a place of hatred.
Do you have any Jewish friends?
I do. I have many, yes.
But that's weird, because you said this.
Jews and Christians have never been friends, ever. Not since Jesus Christ fought with the Pharisees. Have we ever been friends? Not since Saul was leading the charge persecuting the Christians. Not since the Roman Empire, not since the Middle Ages. Never. We've never been friends. We've never been allies. We've always been set against each other, actually. And even here in the United States, it was communist Jews who were the architects of both communism and the civil rights laws that are dispossessing white Christians of their land and civilization.
The Jews and Christians have never been friends ever, except for you and your Jewish friends.
Dude, is Piers really this dumb? Like, is he really that stupid? When you say Jews and Christians, like meaning the groups, like the two peoples being at odds with one another. You could say that about black people and white people in this country. You could just say that they've never really been friends. They've never really been like, blacks and whites, I mean, haven't really ever been, haven't really ever been integrated, haven't really been like tight with one another throughout the years. It's just like, well, you've had black friends. It's like, that's not, are you serious? Like, who are we talking to? It's like trying to like have a conversation with like a child. She's like, but you said you had a friend who was black. No, all the black people. Jesus Christ. Like, come on, man. Unbelievable. He means the religion's like, yeah. Like, is Piers really this stupid? Or is he just pretending to be? Because this can't even be like one of those gotchas. I don't even get it. I like the fact. Like Central Dilda, you said that Piers is a tabloid twat. He doesn't really do deep convos or explorations of ideas. He doesn't. And I think, I even kind of forgot this for a moment because I knew who Piers was. I've known of Piers for a long time. And I remember that he came on Opie and Anthony years ago. They had him on. And he was just the most exploitative piece of shit. It was during some mass shooting, putting the guy's name out there and the picture out there. And, even though the FBI says this is the type of thing that creates repeat killers and repeat offenders, he would still do it every time. And they confronted him about it. And Piers goes, well, putting their information out there, perhaps, we could get some information on the next one, or someone could offer people help. But it's just like, I think Jimmy said, are you really going to sit there with a straight face and tell me that? And he was accused of all types of impropriety back in Britain. I mean, he's a tabloid scumbag. I mean, that's really who he is. And I almost forgot that because, he had Gary on, you know what I mean? Whom I consider like a friend. And then he had, he's got Dave Smith on and he's talking about all these kind of Israel critical points of view. And I'm like, oh, maybe Piers Morgan's changed. Maybe he's actually doing a good show. Now that he's off the mainstream media, and you forget. Oh, right. Of course. Zax, Dave Smith should evolve. He keeps shouting 4-star conspiracy when that's been debunked. First of all, it hasn't been debunked. Jesus Christ. I can't believe people think that that's true. He was kidding. Wesley Clark was kidding when he said it's classified, don't show me. It was a joke. There are so many are so many interviews and appearances of Wesley Clark talking about this document. He didn't mean don't show it to me, it's classified. He's continues to make this point. So either he's lying, which fine, you can make that point. But the fact that he said, it's classified and don't show it to me, that was a joke taken out of context. Wesley Clark maintains to this day that was the plan. And coincidentally, Zax, it happened to happen. Isn't that odd? Isn't that weird? All those countries that were on that list, except for one, we've either toppled the government of or gone to war with. Isn't that a weird coincidence, Zax? Isn't that odd that this 4-star general, which he is, continues to say that this is what the plan was, and then that was the plan? Isn't that odd? Even Rogan called him out. Remember when he announced World War III? I don't think he announced World War III. I don't know. I think these are bad faith critiques. I was very much concerned with the war in Iran. We had the president of the United States and many members of Congress and the government talking about regime change. That's not something to just not be concerned with. It didn't work. It's not like that right now, but that doesn't mean that being concerned also in the future about that is irresponsible or reckless or emotional. It's that could very well have been the case. That could have easily, the president was saying it's time for regime change in Iran. That's what President Trump was saying. I mean, Ted Cruz went on Tucker Carlson and was having a conversation about regime change in Iran. Got it made look like an asshole, But it's like the idea that the libertarians, especially, were concerned that, oh, this looks like war, like that's irrational, and it's irrational to be concerned about that. It's like, no, dude, not at all, not at all. There could be absolutely be a conspiracy, but that's not the one, dude. I don't think you're right about that. I mean, the plan. Okay, let's not even discount that argument. Let's not even say that that's a thing. There is a thing called the clean break memo, which breaks down that exact same plan. Then that's not a conspiracy. There is no like we're just taking one man's word for it. That's a published paper you can read, and it lays out the same plan. It lays out knocking out all those powers in the region instead of just making peace, instead of making statehood with Palestine. That's the clean break strategy. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's not reliant on one man's word. That's a fact. You can read it. Now, whether or not, oh, well, people say, oh, well, that wasn't, oh, that was just one memo out of thousands, and who knows which one is, oh, really? Well, then we went and did it, though. So the coincidence is that there's this general saying that this was the plan, and then there's this actual memo that's printed and published and you can read. So also saying that's the plan. And then that we went and did that plan, but those two things are not real and completely unrelated. Really? Okay, I'm not buying that. You can believe whatever you want. Personally, that sounds fucking retarded to believe that. It's like, oh, really? All these countries, they were part of the clean break. They're part of this plan Wesley Clark said he saw. Then we went and did it. Wow. Well, there's no way there was that's evidence. There's no way that's real. Couldn't possibly be. Sorry, man. Don't see that. Funniest shit that came out of this is the Groypers finding Piers' wife's social media. Oh boy, cucking she does to Piers. Dude, that was crazy. I didn't even know about that. Like that was like completely nuts. And he goes off at some point in this interview, Piers does, where he keeps trying to attack Nick for being a virgin. And meanwhile, like you may find it odd or whatever, but it's like a theological virginity. Like he's doing it because he's Christian and he's going to wait for marriage, which is just kind of like, you might be like, all right, that's gay and out of touch or whatever. But that's still like a virtuous thing to do for a man into his 20s. And it's like, they make it sound like, oh, you couldn't get laid. It's like, dude, he's famous. He could definitely get laid. He could absolutely get laid by like, and you know, if you watch his show, there's always girls like sending in like super chats. And it's like, with that high profile and him being like dangerous, you're telling me he couldn't get laid if he wanted to? I'm sure he could. But it was so funny to see like this kind of boomer argument, like another like expression of boomerism kind of come out where it's just like, yeah, you know, you're not a man if you ain't smashing, which like, you know, I've kind of absorbed, but it's just like you just see this sort of like he's just like elevated above it. Like he's just like, nah, dude, I don't care. I'm not going to be subjected to this sort of like gym teacher style bullying. And it slid right off. Everyone was like, no, actually, that's pretty based. That's pretty cool of him. Have you watched Smith's debate with Coleman Hughes? I haven't watched Smith's debate with Coleman Hughes. Mostly because I don't find Coleman Hughes interesting. I don't really care about him, but it might be a good debate. I've heard people talk about it. I don't really care about that guy. Doesn't he work for Barry Weiss? Isn't he part of like the Free Press? Like, I just don't find that interesting. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just like, it's so, I don't like, see, the thing is, what I think is good about those debates about Israel is to hear Dave Smith's side, but there is really no other side. Like the pro-Israel side is not like a side that can exist with any kind of fairness, like any kind of the human respect on both sides. Like in order for you to continue to maintain the pro-Israel side, you have to truly do believe that the people in that region are not human beings and are not worthy of human right, respect, or even life, any kind of dignity. You really have to, because it's like, otherwise you just have to be like, well, you should respect not even their sovereignty, because they're not sovereign. They're still like a captive nation. But it's just like, respect their lives. I mean, stop using pregnant women as target practice and children as target practice, you know? And it's like, if all this anti-Semitic conjecture is out there and this isn't really what's going on and people are piecing it together with all these different information, it's like, okay, well, why don't you let the press in there? Why don't you let the universal press, the international press, Come in there and then they can tell us what's going on. Because there's so many anti-Semites, right? There's so much just like Qatari money clouding the conversation. Okay, well then let the press in, and then the press can report on what's actually going on. But if the truth is, it's an ethnic cleansing. It's ridiculous to debate otherwise. It's an ethnic cleansing because they feel entitled to the land. They're moving on to the West Bank. That's the next move. And it's simply because, God promised it 2,000 years ago or whatever, which they don't even really believe. Israel was founded by atheist Zionists. They're not religious. They weren't religious practicing Jews. In fact, many of the practicing Jews in the United States don't even recognize Israel as a country. So this is all, it's all horseshit. There is no other side to this. You just have to think the Palestinians are animals and the Jews are God's people and they're an extension of the United States of America and they should be left alone to do whatever they want. That's the only argument. Well, I disagree with that actually. Yeah, I don't think that that's righteous. And if you're going to do it, go ahead. But, do it without our money and stop dragging our name through the mud because, you don't respect Palestinians as humans, quite frankly. Hollywood types shouldn't be lecturing people about relationships or sex, lol, a bunch of STD ridden and immoral. Who is Zax, you're doing the appeal to emotion thing. I'm not pro-Israel. I don't believe Dave Smith's version of 100. I'm not appealing to emotion. What emotion am I appealing to? I guess other than I feel like the human life should be sovereign. There isn't another side. There isn't another side because there's no other side to this argument, Zax. There's no other, what's the articulate pro-Israel side that you have to be like, well, all right, that actually makes sense. It's like, what, October 7th? It's like, that's not that barely. First of all, that doesn't even hold up because it's like, all right, well, the proportionality of the response has been so barbaric that it wasn't just against, Hamas soldiers. It was against women and children. So it's like, that doesn't hold up under scrutiny. And secondly, October 7th, even as an operation, doesn't hold up under scrutiny because Hamas, the Palestinians had suffered the most amount of murders and casualties that year that they had in years, not to mention it's an open air prison that's been like that for 60 years, and they've just been suffering atrocities the whole time. There really isn't. Matt, you're doing the appeal to emotion thing. I'm not pro-Israel, but I do not believe Dave Smith's version is 100% correct. Okay. But I don't know what appeal to emotion you're talking about, Zach. Like where did I make an appeal to emotion? So I don't know what you mean. I'm just listing off the potential pro-Israel talking points. I'm not saying you're pro-Israel. I'm not arguing with you. I mean, I am. This is a talk show, so I'm talking. But I don't I'm walking through the whole conversation. It's just as I understand it, as I've experienced it, as I've seen it. I don't really see the other side. And so it's like, and if our government is working covertly to assist in the expansion of Israeli state, the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people, I don't want to be party to it. And if there are documents, evidence, which there is, that suggests that that's been the plan for a long time, I got to be honest, man. I don't support that. Call me crazy. So it's a radical position, but I know what appeal to emotion means. But what appeal to him? What emotion are you specifically talking about? I know what an appeal to emotion means. But what are you talking about? Specifically what, Zax? Specifically what? All right, let's get back to the blood sport. You're right, Sentient Dildo. Where are we? What's the next good clip we got? Okay, yeah, this one I thought was pretty funny because this is Nick Fuentes to the principal's office. Nick Fuentes to the principal's office.
Yeah, the thing is, my generation, we're just done with the pearl clutching. Yeah,
you might be, but then your generation hasn't gone through what Danny Finkelstein's family went through. So maybe the pearl clutching has a way to go for families whose family members were murdered.
Yeah, we got all that. Me mom, you know, I don't even know who this person is. Why is this person talking to me? This old British guy is saying me mom got killed by Hitler. And
I should have, you know what? I should have scrubbed before that. Hold on.
You're a racist who thinks Hitler's cool, but you're not anti-Semitic. If you're a Jewish person watching this, what are they thinking? I'll tell you what they're thinking, because I've got a friend of mine called Danny Finkelstein, who, when he heard I was interviewing you, he's a Times journalist in the UK, very eminent journalist here, and author, who wrote a book about his own family's experiences at the hands of Hitler and Stalin, because he also told Tucker Carlson that you admire Stalin. But let's just take what Danny said here.
Hi Piers, it's Danny Finkelstein here. As you're interviewing Nick Fuentes, you might try suggesting to him that he reads my book, Hitler, Stalin, Mum and Dad. It's called Two Roads Home in the United States.
Now, I'd like to point out that this is something that people pointed out quite a bit, which I thought was really interesting. But just moments ago, Nick Fuentes goes on to say about how the Holocaust has kind of become like a religion, and that it becomes this sort of thing, this guilt. It's like constant reminder of all this guilt. And Piers goes, I don't know any Jews like that. I don't know any Jews who use that, who peddle the Holocaust in the currency of guilt. And then this guy comes on and he goes and peddles his Holocaust book. Oh yeah, all right.
As he's on Team Hitler, you might like to ask him about the fact that Hitler arrested my mum, tried to starve my mum to death, did starve my grandmother to death, sent my great aunt to the gas chamber, my great uncle, my cousin. My grandmother on my father's side ended up being one.
Dude, I'm bored with this fucking guy. It's like, all right, man. Like, the idea, like, that you think that Nick Fuentes, his generation, me, my generation, anyone alive in the West has not had such a thorough, exhaustive, rigorous education of the horrors of the Holocaust, the horrors of, we know, man, we fucking know. It's like, this response is almost just like, it's just because, like, shut up, stop fucking battering me over the head with it. We got it, bro. We know. No one actually thinks it was cool. You guys are such faggots, man. You guys are such pussies. It's just like, it's unbelievable. The joke is that you get upset about it. It's called a troll, man. Join the 21st century, dude. Holy crap. We got it. Boosh. Oh, please. I met a ton who bring up the Holocaust all the time. A few to the point that say they can't say never forget in relation to 9/11. Yeah, of course. It's of course, which is why, and Nick in this interview does bring up a really good point that in certain countries in this world, it's illegal, actually illegal, to question the official narrative of the Holocaust, right? And it's like, when it's like you reflexively want to make fun of it. You reflexively want to, look into it or deny it, just out of humor. Because that's where humor lies, in the taboo where you're not supposed to go. And these people who just like can't fathom it, who just take it at face value. It really is just exactly a perfect reflection of the generation gap, of the fact that the boomers and the Gen Z, like Gen Z just completely rejected the boomer morality, the boomer paradigm, and they don't care. And I love that. No restream to Rumble. No, I'm using StreamYard right now, and I don't have access to multiple streams on this platform. I'm still working on all that. Sorry, low spec. I didn't actually know anyone really cared about Rumble from me. So yeah. All right, brother. Well, I'll work on it. I will work on it. Central Ditto. The kvetching will continue until funding improves. Well, they still have the funding. It's just the narrative. They just don't have the public right now. It's the only thing in this country that the left and right are pretty much on the same team about, is that, yeah, no, we're kind of done with Israel. Fuck all this.
Out of 7 children, the only one that survived the war. So you might ask him whether he wouldn't rather be on Team Mum rather than Team Hitler. And as for celebrating Stalin's birthday, well, Stalin took my father, sent him to a state collective farm, sent my grandmother and my to a state collective farm.
I can't even finish this guy's clip. I'm so bored with this guy. And Nick Fuentes is right. It's just to be like, all right already, man. We're done with all this. We know. Come on. Fucking stop.
My grandfather to the gulag. You might try asking him why he doesn't celebrate Dad's birthday rather than Stalin's. It may well be a big joke to him, but he complains that he was 18 when someone tried to cancel him. Well, Stalin and Hitler arrested my mum and my dad when they were 10 years old. So perhaps he might like to reconsider his joke.
See, that's the reality of your jokes. Although I haven't ascertained yet whether you are joking when you say that Hitler is very fucking cool.
That face is so fucking funny.
Are you joking, or do you actually think he was very fucking cool? The most genocidal monster of the last 150 years?
Yeah, the thing is, my generation, we're just done with the pearl clutching. You know,
yeah, you might be, but then your generation hasn't gone through what Danny Finkelstein's family went through. So maybe the pearl clutching has a way to go for families whose family members
were murdered. Yeah, we got all that. Me mom. Like we're, I don't even know who this person is. Why is this person talking to me? This old British guy is saying me mom got killed by Hitler. And
also, this guy, they ended up going into like his social media, and he was one of these dudes gleefully cheering on the mass murder of the Palestinians. All this precious sanctity of life that they claim to care so deeply about. That's so important to them. It's like, yeah, not unless they stand in the way of Israel. Then suddenly life is not so sacred. Then suddenly blowing up and burning children alive and burying them in buildings for, your promised land is totally fine. And it's like, yet you're going to guilt this kid and emotionally manipulate him. Oh, new Holocaust to me, mom, and me. Shut the fuck up, dude. You'd think people who hold something so atrocious, so sacred, would extend that into other human lives. But it doesn't really seem to be like that with the Zionists. They don't really seem to care. They don't really seem to hold this life sacred. They're just like, no. Our lives are very important, and you can't believe they did that to us. But these Palestinians, they're not even human beings. Not even human beings. Boosh. If you question his grandma, Matt, you're pro Hitler. Hell yeah, Boosh. We're bringing you around, brother. I love it. Zax, bro, leave it at this. Can you accept there's something terrible happened in Gaza and there are serious flaws in Dave Smith's narrative of events? Please be specific on which flaw. I'm sure he's not perfect. So yes, I'll concede Dave Smith isn't perfect, but I do very much believe in the clean break memo. I've read it. It's not that long. You can read it too. And it was written by the neocons who orchestrated the war on terror to Benjamin Netanyahu. Pretty big coincidence, Zax. It's just kind of a smoking gun as far as I'm concerned. And, I'm not all that concerned. It's like, I feel like this is important information, the whole Wesley Clark memo. Okay. But we still did it. We still did it for Israel. So I don't even care. Like, it's the actions that we did. That's the problem. That's why it's a problem, dude. So I don't know if you could be specific about something he got wrong, fine, but I don't think he's wrong on this critique at all. And it's not like it's Dave Smith's narrative alone. This narrative is backed up by Scott Horton. This narrative is backed up by Daryl Cooper. This narrative is backed up by Buchanan. This narrative is backed up by Fuentes. This narrative is backed up by... There are so many different people who also investigate the same facts and came to the same conclusion. It's not just Dave Smith's narrative. This is the narrative. Zax. You're right. Sorry, I stepped out of line there.
I find it funny when you say Hitler's very fucking cool.
I don't care. I don't care.
I know you don't care. That's fine. You don't have to care. But he does care.
Does that guy care about America? Does that guy care about me and my country and my family? No.
He cares what you, a prominent conservative in America, has to say about Adolf Hitler. And what do you mean by Hitler is very fucking cool? Because I think he's very fucking a monster.
Okay. And that's a clip. I think he's very fucking a monster. Do you hear yourself?
Yeah, I
mean,
do.
Can we all grow up?
I do.
Can we all grow up?
He murdered 12 million people. He murdered 12 million.
And the thing is, too, like, not necessarily Piers, but they're like, we're still at war. You know, it's not like when Hitler died and World War II ended, peace was achieved. Right? If we had lived in a state of utopia since, what was it, May 1945, okay, fine. If you make Hitler jokes, fine. And like, how dare you? And like, you're like, if that had been the thing that created peace on earth, but it's like, we are at war right now. There are drone bombings and mass murders happening right now, which politicians and pundits and people gleefully cheer on. They're thrilled about it. They love it. Like I said, arguably an ethnic cleansing in Gaza that like politicians who sit in United States Senate seats were like, fuck yeah, go kill them all. And he makes a joke about Hitler being, cool. And it's like, let's stop all society to find out why this kid would say something like this. It's like, do you see yourselves? Do you get it? Do you understand now the hypocrisy? The fact that you guys are all losing your mind over these words, yet the words of cheering on, the current wars, the current mass murders, radio silence, crickets. Grow up, bro. Grow up. It's so juvenile. These arguments, these discussions, these virtues, these values. Shut up, dude. No one cares. No one fucking cares. All right. This was pretty funny. This was about, so Piers started getting on Nick about like marriage and like his virginity. And kind of kept like, was trying to like old school bully him. It's just like, oh, well, if you can't get laid, maybe if you got laid, you'd have a better appreciation for women. I respect women. It was so gay. But this was like, this is the context of this clip. Central, you kill one person, it's murder. You kill 1 million, it's a statistic. Uncle Joe. Now I disavow him. Okay. You mentioned him and I need to emphasize how bad he is. Okay? Is that clear? I disavow Stalin. He was a bad guy. That satisfy all these retards out there? That's a great quote by Stalin, too. That's a really good quote. What are you saying about Stalin? You saying nice things? No. Would never. All right, where are we? Why can't I get to this here? It's just all right.
And that's just true. I mean, when you look at the state of modern women, all they do is lay in their bed, doom scroll, they're chilling out. They're getting a little fat. It is what it is. I don't know what the average weight is, but they're getting a little heavy. And any guy that is playing the field these days will tell you that. I mean, and I know a lot of the Chads. I am an incel. I'm friends with a lot of Chads like Bradley Martin, Clavicular. They agree with me.
I think it's so funny they try to get him on being a virgin, and he's a self-proclaimed incel. It's like, that's like trying to get him for wearing a suit. It's like, yeah, he knows that. He makes a point to make that incredibly clear. It's like, Nick, did you know that you have curly hair? It's like, yeah, he knows. Yeah. That's what he has on his head. Yeah. It's crazy. Like Nick's like, or Piers is like, you're an incel. You can't get laid. He's just like, Jesus Christ.
There's sort of like this alliance between the guys that don't have sex and the guys that get the most sex. We know what women are about. It's the guys in the middle. Guys like you in the middle. It's the beta male orbiters that say, she's amazing. You're a messiah.
Dude, Piers used to be on like CNN. He just got called a beta male orbiter in front of 4 million people. And then and the funny thing was, Nick said this before any of the cuck stuff came out. Before the fact that everyone knew that, now we know that Piers Morgan's wife, I guess, does cuck him. She takes all these pictures of her with other guys, and they went on a 6-week, adventure separation or whatever. He literally gets cucked, not even metaphorically. And he calls him a beta male orbit. He could read him. He read his soul and was so accurate without even the information, just instinctually, reflexively, could just tell. beta male orbiter. It's like, fuck yeah, dude. Get him, Nick.
Misogynistic pig, because I don't know what that is. I guess.
Well, come on. Let me
desperate.
explain to you what I think it is. I think when a 27-year-old guy who's never got laid, never had a meaningful relationship with a woman, says that women shouldn't be allowed to vote, they should stay at home, that all they do is fantasize about being raped and being beaten up. That's what they want. That they're annoying. That they get.
Dude, when we brought this up a few weeks ago on this show, there were women in the chat being like, yeah, kind of me. It's like, I've dated multiple women whose fantasies is to be physically, like, you know, aggressively fucked. Like, that's like part of their fantasy. That's part of their thing that turns them on. It's in literature. It's in movies. Women brag about it on the internet. It's like the idea that Piers like doesn't get this is pretty gay. That's pretty like, wow, pretty like beta male, like not tapped into female sexuality. But see, it's like who are like, there are women in the audience who are like not phased by this. It's like maybe the language from that clip when he was clearly like 19 wasn't as precise as you know, you would like, but the point is real. The point is accurate. The idea that this is like some controversial thing he's pointing out is like, what year? Do you think it's like 1880? Like this is like the Victorian era, and people's like, oh my God, did you hear what he said? My word. It's just crazy, dude. Yeah. Yeah, I had a girl tell me that she had those fantasies when I was like 19. And it was shocking then. 21 years ago, that was a shock to learn. Yes, 21 years ago in 2005. I was shocked at this information. It's not now, dude. Okay? Everyone knows this. This is just obvious. This is just the facts. It's crazy. He's like, you know, you say women want to be raped. Shut up, dickbag.
Fat, that they get ugly. That's a misogyny.
Don't they? Is that also not true, Piers? Is that somehow some kind of lie? Women don't get fat and ugly as they get older. Come on. It's not a nice thing to say, but it's honest. It's the truth. And if he's not trying to impress women, which is actually kind of like a superpower, then it's like, yeah, he's going to say things like this and maybe it'll bother you. Oh my God. You know, we have spent so much time in this society going out of our way to make sure women aren't offended. And where did that get us? It got us having women in power in the EU who left the door open for the third world to rape and murder your daughters. Okay. Maybe, just maybe, the people who came before us knew a little bit more about whether women should be in government or not, whether we should be concerned with whether we offend them with our public discourse, or maybe they should even be included in it. You know, it's like we used to treat women with dignity and respect in the places where they would be. That wasn't in the political sphere. Okay. It's just crazy. Reality is misogynistic, bruv. Indeed. I don't know. It's like, I don't care about offending women. You know what I mean? Like in my real life, I do. You know, I don't want to offend my mother or my sister or, you know, my girlfriends or any woman in my life. I'm not trying to hurt their feelings, but in a conversation about politics on prerogative, I don't give a shit. I don't care. And I'm not going to censor, you know, that type of thing just because it's like, well, this will be the more pleasant discourse. Fuck the pleasant discourse. The pleasant discourse is what got us here. We're done with the pleasant discourse.
Now, you may not understand it because your knowledge of women is so incredibly tiny, but actually you are the embodiment of a misogynist. It couldn't be clearer. And if I was in a way, you have.
Once again, he still thinks he's got him here. He still thinks this is some kind of win. Piers is still being like, oh, you're the embodiment of a misogynist. He's like, all right, whatever. Like, even Piers shouldn't be like obtuse enough to not know that those words don't mean anything anymore. No one cares, man. And it had been a long road. You know, it had been a long road of using that term to disparage people, whether it was that one or racist or homophobic or anti-Semitic or any of them. You know, it has been a long road. Those words have gotten a lot of mileage and they just don't mean anything anymore. And Piers, you know, even someone like you should understand that. you trying to corner him and calling him a misogynist. It's like, cool, bro. Cool. You got anything else? Do you actually want to take on any of his arguments? Do you actually want to deal with the substance of what he's saying? Or are you just trying to like lecture this kid like you're some vice principal? You know, like you heard him, you overheard the kid saying something naughty on the playground, and you're going to bring him to the principal's office and smack his knuckles with a ruler and give him detention. You faggot. Shut up, dude. So gay. The same people who claim to support women don't seem to have a problem with them being raped or having a man send them to the hospital because she set a pick at the top of the key. Wait, hold on. Have a problem with them being raped or having a man send them to the hospital because she set a pick at the top of the key. I mean, I understand that's a basketball analogy, but I don't understand what. I don't get it. Just read what all the old philosophers wrote about female psychology. Is it? I imagine it's based. It's based in reality, where it's just like, oh yeah, that's accurate. That seems healthy. That seems helpful. Oh, men and female sports. Yes, exactly. Oh, of course. Yeah, and sexually assaulted in bathrooms, and basically like the whole destroyed. And that was a really significant one. That was a big one. The whole trans thing that's put a stop to a lot of this shit. All right, there's we can keep playing. We got
the deep-rooted misogyny of some of the actual boomers I know. Yeah, here you are, 27 years old, and most of the current studies show that a lot of men are really disenfranchised from society, no longer have physical relationships with women if they've ever had them, never associate with women, and build up instinctively misogynist views about women.
He's still trying to be like, oh, it's because you never got laid, kid. What are you, scared of chicks? Would they hurt your feelings? Name 10 studies, Piers. Name 10 studies. That's just so lame. And it's also like how much of just the general audience doesn't give a shit about these like scolding, name calling, labeling bullshit, but also like how much his generation specifically does not give a shit about any of this. Gives it zero weight, Piers. They don't care. This is so embarrassing.
And I fear you're in that position. You're just a bit of a lonely guy who wants to get laid and can't for whatever reason. And it's made you bitter about women. And I don't know where that's come from, but it's fascinating.
No.
No. See, here's the thing. First of all, you're very caught up in the labels. It's always, you're a racist, you're a misogynist.
You said you were a racist.
Mean nothing to me. Oh,
you gave yourself.
Can I respond?
You gave yourself the label.
What is this?
You said, I am a racist. I didn't know.
Bushi, are you starting to understand this kid? You starting to understand his appeal? I feel like when I first started talking about him, he was sort of radioactive and white hot, and you're not really supposed to touch or look at him. But I think that I've become such a Nick Fuentes stan over the past like few months. I can't believe I listen to his show like every night now. It's captivating. I love him. I guess I'm just a full-on groiper now. But I just like this kid he's so funny. If for no other reason, you got to enjoy him because he's hilarious. He's so like whoa, what is this? Like that, just playing Piers like a fiddle, dude. It's so great. I can't help it, man. And it's like I don't agree with everything, but there's some things I'm not like completely on board with. But I find like his precision, his research, his evidence, the things that he's got. It's just I don't know. I love him. I think he's fucking great.
Give you the label. Okay. You said, Nick Fuentes, I am a racist.
Calm down. Calm down.
Did you or didn't you?
It's okay.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so
here's
I didn't give you the label. You did.
Why are you yelling at me?
Because you're trying to infer something that didn't happen. You said, I gave you the label of being a racist. No, you did. You said, I'm a racist. Okay. You gave yourself a label.
You're going to have to tone it down a little, all right? You're going to have to bring it down a notch and relax. This is just an interview, okay? Please calm down. All I said is you're hung up. I didn't say you gave me that. Maybe I did.
You did.
But here's what I mean. What I mean is you're just hung up on proving you're a misogynist. Okay, you're a racist. Okay, you denied the Holocaust. And I'm just, I'm not about the labels,
You didn't
man.
deny
I'm
the
just
Holocaust.
past that.
As I said to you, look.
Once again, I'd like to recontextualize. Was the interview that all the, you know, oh, he's just a gay Nazi, no one likes him. This was the interview they were all demanding, right? This is what they wanted Tucker to do. This is, you're going to push back on his ideas and you're going to call him out for his bullshit. How'd that work out? How'd that work out? How'd it work out when you finally held him to task, took him to task, and you held him accountable for what he said? How'd it work? Oh, he made you look like an idiot. He made you look like a clown and probably sapped you of all your credibility and respectability ever again. He, you know, Douglas Murray'd you. He just made you look like an absurd idiot with nothing real to say and no real responses and no real convictions other than just like boilerplate boomer bullshit. It's not going to work. You're not going to outfox this kid. Do you understand the crucible you'd be forged in if you had to go the route of Nick Fuentes to become a streamer, to keep going after like your life was threatened, after your livelihood has been destroyed, and he keeps going? You think that a few words, a few labels that no one cares about are going to be the coup de grace that's going to take him out? Bro, you people are living in another world. And that's actually interesting because it's like, it's still, even though it's a vestige of what it used to be, it's not the same. This is still the old media versus new media, right? This is still establishment news. This is still CNN. This is still the old world. Oh, we caught you on tape saying something naughty. Go do your apology tour. Like that operating system is still present in this media like mind, and these talkers, these presenters, these talking head jerk offs, they still have that. And this is clashing with the new world that does not give any credence to, does not care, because we know what that is. That's just a blow off. That's a dismissal. We can use that as a way to discredit you. It doesn't matter how accurate your information is, how well annotated your research is, how good your points are. We caught you saying something racist, so you're dismissed. Now, we don't play those games. And even just not even like the kind of outsiders like Nick Fuentes, this is just where the internet's at now. No one cares. Therefore, the country, therefore, the world. People don't give it. We're not playing these games anymore, man. These are childish girl games. These are lady fucking vice principal, teacher, babysitting kids games. We don't play this shit anymore, man. This is all childish nonsense meant to distract you from what's really being discussed, where the real politics are, what the real exchange of power is, okay? We're not doing it. It's not going to work. Then he spends 2 hours humiliating himself trying to do it. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. How old was Piers when he first got laid? 35? I bet he was at like some creepy sex parties. He's been a part of like this dark, like establishment thing, for a long time. So who knows what he's been up to? Who knows what he's been up to? And Piers hasn't really talked about any of his points. No, nothing. I mean, I've almost no discussion. Just like I said, just scolding him, snapping his knuckles with a ruler. Let's not pretend he had any credibility in the first place. Yeah, fair enough. That's fair. Maybe address his talking points, have a conversation, but no, bully him for being a virgin and lose at that. By the way, it's not like Fuentes lost his cool or started calling him mean names and was like snapping and like, I'll kick the shit out of you. Nothing. No, he just made him look like a fool. It's great. It's fucking great. There was a clip I was trying to say, and I forgot, Piers was saying, oh, you just said women are annoying. And it's like, dude, even the most cucked wife guy would be like, yeah, I mean, they get annoying. Like, there's no woman who's not annoying at some point. They're always at some point pretty fucking annoying, dude. All right, let me scroll up to
Nick, as I said
to you, just a little bit more of just gold from Piers, just absolute gems.
Unless you're an
that, but it wouldn't
extremist.
be true.
If you're an extremist, you can't.
Okay.
Obviously, you never deviate.
That's just not rigorous.
You never
That's just
deviate if you're an
sloppy.
extremist. But even the Constitution, even the Constitution's been amended. Was it 27 times? People talk about this sacrosanct document. It's it's been amended 27 times.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my! This is not rigorous intellectually. This is very.
Just a statement of fact.
Theology. Okay, but it's fine. Where were we? We're talking about Trump, and somehow we got into
Trump.
I mean, that's once again just like poor, bad research. You know, Gen Z doesn't really respect the Constitution, and in fact, there's been a lot of discussions about the Constitution not even really being the original documents. Like when you say the Constitution, like which one are you talking about? You know, how many of the amendments do you want to have on? Like, it's actually a pretty vibrant conversation. It's not simply just the Constitution, therefore accept everything about it. And for him to just like say that, like another gotcha, it's like, Jesus, dude, did you even do any research at all? Said you did. He did achieve what he wanted to, though. He made a ton of money off of this, and he signaled his allegiance to the libtard establishment. I guess so. Yeah, I mean, you're right. And he'll keep going. He's been tweeting quite a bit. Now, I don't know if it's rage bait or if he's really just kind of what's the word, like coping with the fact that, you know, he lost and looks like an idiot. I'm not really sure. But I think it's pretty fascinating. But the libtard establishment, I don't know if things just keep going the way they're going. I just see that whole thing just being like, you know, it's like almost like it's almost like they'll become like the internet, like the ISP, right? It's like we use the internet to go to Twitter or go to YouTube or go to other things and have the discussions there. We don't, you know, the internet is not the discussion just as much as like the news and the old establishment, which like we'll take the information and we'll discuss it and we'll dissect it and we'll make sense of it, but no one gives a shit about the actual source of the information. That'll just be the vessel. That's just, like I said, that's just the wires and the tubes that move the information, and that'll just be the news. Like the libtard is like, who cares? I mean, it's dying, especially at least, okay, it's at least losing the conversation. They haven't lost any power necessarily, but they've lost the conversation. They've lost the debate. It's over. You know, and like even to the point that you would always point out, Sentient Dodo, the centrism, the sort of like different shades of liberalism, like that's lost. That's all lost. The argument is pretty much settled. You know, it's just a matter is going to be held on to. Like that's just the debatable part, but we'll see. I don't know. The Constitution was the first power consolidation move. I'm not sure what you mean by that. What up, Club Penguin Fan 106? Howdy. Welcome. The argument can take you only so far. They still hold all the power. Well, I mean, that's one of the goals of Fuentes' movement is to get all these groypers into power. Become elite human capital, he says. And get into government and get into finance. You know, he says to a lesser degree entertainment, but it's like they have a plan. They really have a plan. It's pretty intense.
You're white knighting for women's rights.
Well, I think women should have the same rights as you and I. You don't. That's
fine. Congratulations, Piers. Oh, who's a good boy? Who's the good boy of the week? Piers Morgan is. You're a good boy. Who's a good boy, Piers? Who's a good boy? You're a good boy, Piers. Unbelievable. Shut the fuck up. What does she have on you, dude? What does your wife have on you that you would allow her to treat you like this? And then you go on a show like this, your own show, be like, I think women should have equal rights. Whoa. Wow. How brave. How beautiful. Shut the hell up.
Put on the pink hat, bro. Put on the pink hat. We're waiting.
What's the pink hat for?
For the
not getting the reference. Didn't get the pussy hat march reference, Piers. Come on, dude. My God.
March for the women's march. Are we going to see you at the women's march protesting for women's rights and all that?
I think women should have equal rights to men.
Wow. Period. Once again, Piers, such a good boy. Such a good boy.
You carry tampons in case your female friends get a period or something? Like, it's crazy.
I'd have no problem giving a female friend a tampon, would you? Have you ever I don't suppose you've ever seen a tampon, have you?
Gross. Absolutely not.
You
Get that away
you think
from me.
tampons are gross?
Yeah, they're
Really?
filled with period blood. Yeah, it's kind of gross.
Wow.
Are you into that? You like that?
Have you ever seen
a lot of tampons?
I don't think you've ever seen it, have you?
Dude, what is going on here? Why is he trying to corner him with this? He's like, oh, I got something here. I bet you've never even seen a tampon. It's like, lucky him. It's fucking disgusting, dude. Bro, I find women's periods repulsive. I find it gross. I shame them about it. I don't care. I think it's disgusting. Women are like, what? What? It's natural. So is taking a shit. Okay, I don't share that with you. It's gross. Okay. I think the whole thing is absolutely disgusting. I think the Jews get it right. They leave the house. They put them in that shed for 5 days or whatever it is they do. That's the right move. That's the correct move, dude. Ugh. You find it gross? Yeah, dude. What, you don't? What the hell is wrong with you? It's so disgusting. They're bleeding. Just bleeding out of their pussy. Ugh. Get out of here. It's like, yeah, it's like chunky. It's disgusting. Utterly disgusting. What is wrong? Piers, what did you think was going to happen here? What was this gotcha? What do you think was going to be people's response? Like, this is insane. Oh, I bet you've never seen a tampon. Like I said, good for him. Gross.
I've seen them. I've seen them before.
You've been that close to a woman? Really?
No, I've seen them.
Piers makes it sound like every time you have sex with a woman, you take out the tampon. Like it's just part of the operation. It's like, ew, dude. What is wrong with you, man?
Look, I used to live with women, so I've seen them around the house.
I bet you've seen videos, haven't you?
What? What are we doing here, Piers?
I'm not sure.
You really hate that.
I'm not sure.
You're
Nick.
more impressed that I'm a misogynist than you are about anything. It's
not
very
really.
revealing.
I'm actually more exercised about your blatant self.
I bet this is just going to be a wild speculation, but I bet there's something. I think Piers does resent Nick in his misogyny more than anything, because he sees it as liberated. Right? His wife publicly humiliates him, cucks him, literally. And that's got to be incredibly degrading. It's got to be truly like upsetting, you know, and angering and enraging, right? And something that you'd want to like fight back against. But, you know, you're a good news boy and you're a good British liberal. And like, you know, that sort of thing is indecent to get angry or to, you know, like put boundaries on your woman. And then he sees this kid who doesn't put up with any of that shit. Yeah, he doesn't get laid. That's his choice. It's an empowering decision. He's not allowing his self-worth or validation to be defined by the fairer sex. He's saying, no, this is fucking gay. These chicks are annoying. And you could see how much that bothers Piers. It's like, I bet there's something in there. I bet there's something that just feels like he let himself down. You know, like an old like echo of his masculinity is like waking up and just being like, I want to say those things. I want to be that guy. And it's like, he knows that like he killed that. Like he actively killed that part of himself. And he sees it in Nick gleefully letting it out and how upset he is about that. I think that's like my psychological analysis of this response, because Nick's right. He does get the most animated over the misogyny shit. And it's like, dude, who cares? Of all the things to get upset about, at least the racism thing, it's like, okay, but for misogyny, dude, aren't you tired? Aren't you tired of broads and their complaints about society? Aren't you over it? Aren't you done? Well, come on, man.
Permitted racism than I'm about anything. But the misogyny runs a close second. Let me ask you about Tucker Carlson, because you had a long sit down with Tucker Carlson in which he was, oddly, I like Tucker. We got on well. I was with him last week in London. But he gave me a harder time than he gives you. And then afterwards, he was more critical. And then you said this about Tucker.
He's a handler. He handles people. That's what he does. He's a fucking liar and a handler. He goes around telling people, I don't know anything. I don't know. Oh, I know nothing. I don't even have a phone. I am just a clueless tourist. I just travel to all these countries and, you know, I don't trust him. And I don't care, maybe that alienates me from people in the conservative movement. I don't care. I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm not going to be a party to whatever that is. Whatever that CIA bullshit is, I'm not going to be a part of it. So,
I think it's just another gotcha moment where Piers is trying to corner Nick. He's like, oh, you said something about Tucker. Do you said something about Tucker? Everyone likes Tucker. You said something about Tucker. Oh, no, we got you. It's just like, do you think what? Like, was he drunk and forgot about these things? Like, he said them on his show. He knows what he was saying when he said it. That's why he said it. How are you going to play his clips from his show that came out, this month and be like, gotcha? It's like, thanks for the promo, Piers. Like, what even is this? I don't even understand. And I will agree with Nick about Tucker. I don't know about all the things that he says he is about, the CIA and all that. I don't know anything about that. But there were things about Tucker that have always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, it was the thing, like in the Nick Fuentes interview where he goes, like, what is porn? And you're like, what is porn? Really? That's your question? Like, what kind of a question is that? Like, you're an adult man. Like, what is even happening here? And then there would be times where like he would, and I know what he was doing. He would kind of play dumb and allow like his guest to like, build up the story or play along with, to get their side of the thing out or whatever. And he'd be like, whoa, what's up with, what is that? Why, what is that? And it's like, but it's also like, you kind of feel like, all right, this guy, he's not being sincere here, right? He may be sincere in his motives or who he is, but he's not being sincere. And the other thing that always rubbed me the wrong way was when he does his marketing, like his commercials and stuff, he plays like country music under it. And you're like, you're not a country music guy. I mean, maybe you are, but you like grew up in San Francisco and lived in DC. You're not like a good old boy from like the heartland. You're like a fucking rich WASP city guy. Like, stop it. Like, what is this cosplay of like hey, I'm just like you, when I'm down home on the farm, my farm in Maine, yeah, like that's how the heartland people identify with this country, Maine. I agree. I do think there's something off about Tucker. There's always something that kind of rubbed me the wrong way about him. I never liked Hannity. It means nothing. I'm just doesn't mean I'm not a Republican. Yeah, no, I'm just talking about their character. And I just think it's like, look, the more this conversation continues, the bigger it becomes, the more the new media rises, our precision on observing what's actually going on, the kind of like the walls to access to information are being taken down. I think it is important to kind of scrutinize some of these people, especially the people who are like left over from the old system. It's like, are you real? Are you a real person, or are you a handler? Are you left over from the old like CIA ways of media manipulation and you're here to distract us? I don't really know. But anyway, that's going to do it for me, guys, for this episode of the MFer podcast. Thank you very much for watching. This is 93rd episode. We're approaching 100 episodes. That's pretty exciting. So, yeah, I'll be seeing you guys next week's episode on Tuesday this time. So you guys have a great night, and I'll be seeing you later. Peace out.